Hey everybody, Kat here. Welcome to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. It is Wednesday, and we're talking about Sarah Ferguson again. Her and Andrew, the whole Epstein thing. Not only me, but everybody said down the years that this is just never going to go away. It's always going to be hanging over the monarchy's head. Truly, something should have been done years ago. The Queen did strip him of his duties and his military affiliations and all of that kind of thing. She put his HRH in abeyance, and she advised him to keep a low profile. Some people say that the $12 million that he paid out to Virginia Giuffre came from the Queen. We don't know that for sure, but we do know that she did indeed protect him. Years ago, over a decade ago, there was a reporter in the States that had gathered all this information and wanted to publish it. And apparently she got shut down from pressure on the palace. And we've talked about this before. There's all kinds of incidences where the palace has worked to shut down stories, publications, information that they don't want to get out. And it was this kind of a situation as well. The American press were told, no, you cannot, you are not going to be going after Prince Andrew like this, right? So we've known about this for years. This whole thing with Epstein, we know that Sarah had borrowed money from him, borrowed with an intent to pay back. Well, she never paid it back. Who knows? Officially, they're saying it was like £15,000. I've heard up to £750,000. And author Andrew Lowney claims it was more like £2 million that Sarah was gifted from Epstein to pay off her bills. We know she had tax bills at the time, huge expenses, huge debts. But I mean, there you go. That was Sarah for you. She was a grifter from early on. She always chased money, the good life, and celebrities. Don't forget, before she got together with Andrew, she had been living with race car driver Paddy McNally for years. He was very rich. He was quite a bit older than her, but she enjoyed the kind of high life, the jet set, rubbing shoulders with celebrities. This has always been her thing. Now, that kind of fizzled out when, of course she was looking to be married. Paddy had been, I think, divorced already, and he told her on no uncertain terms that he would not marry her. So when the invitation came from Diana, she jumped on it, a trip to Sandringham, and Diana kind of played matchmaker between her and Andrew. Because, see, now Diana and Sarah had known each other and run in the same circles, even though Diana was, of course, more highborn than Sarah. Sarah's father was the polo manager, so close to the Queen, close to Philip, close to Charles, and I mean, it's all the polo, it's all one little group that the elites kind of run in. They don't mix with the hoi polloi, right? So they knew each other. And Originally, when they were still planning to be married, Diana had suggested that that Sarah be a lady in waiting. Now, for whatever reason, that was turned down by the Queen. She wouldn't allow it. Diana had wanted a confidant. Maybe it was because of the position of Ronald Ferguson, you know, what eventually was his undoing. Perhaps they knew things of that nature about him then. I mean, and the thing is, you got to understand with these elites, they all practice the same kind of debauchery. They're all into the same kind of stuff, bed hopping. There's no loyalty there. And I mean, so maybe they knew, maybe they had something on Ferguson then that sort of squelched. You know, they just didn't want her in there. But then when Diana, the Queen, they were up at Sandringham, and the Queen, I guess, had said to Diana, is there anybody you'd like to invite for the weekend? And she suggested Sarah. Now, Sarah was still actually with Paddy McNally at the time. In fact, he was the one that drove her to Sandringham to hook up with Andrew. Now, given at the time, I don't think Sarah, that this wasn't her agenda, perhaps. Diana was kind of matchmaking, and apparently they hit it off immediately. Now, don't forget, it's not like it's the first time she ever met Andrew. As children, they all grew up on the same, you know, royal estate. They all played together as kids. So it's not like it was the first time they ever met. But as they say, they just got along like gangbusters, and the rest is history, and here we are. Through Andrew and Sarah, both of them, scandal-ridden from day one. You know, with Andrew, we've got consorting, you know, to business deals with Chinese spies, shady real estate deals, a couple of them that he's personally involved in. Just scandal from one thing to the next. Plus of what I've outlined. And we know about Andrew and Soho House and Marcus Anderson. Take a look at that in my Who's Your Daddy playlist. Who is Marcus Anderson? Take a look at that video, give you a little bit of insight. We knew that Andrew had connections with Soho House. We know, because we've seen the communications of him, you know, on yachts in Greece and this kind of thing, and there's great speculation, and it's a high probability that Meghan Markle, during her yacht girl days, shall we say, met Andrew. Yeah. They go way back, 2012, right? They go way back. All of this is all entwined like a nasty little spider's web. And if all of this ever came unglued, and is that, I think, what Charles is worried about. I mean, we saw in his statement yesterday, you know, saying he wants to continue the loyalty he sees from Sarah and Andrew. That's not loyalty, sir. As I said yesterday, that's blackmail. What Charles is doing is keep your enemies close, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. He's trying to not upset the apple cart because he's afraid of what might come out. I mean, even all of the things that we know about, that if they were ever confirmed, holy crap. But think about this. Think about this. Sarah was a huge confidant to Diana in the early years and through her time in the royal family until her death. I mean, yes, they went through times where they had fallings out. And Diana wouldn't speak to her for maybe a year, maybe 6 months, and then pop up Olive again. Where's that redhead? And be friends again. And that was a characteristic of Diana. If she was mad with you, you got the cold shoulder and you were shut out immediately. You never knew if you were going to be allowed back in. But that was, overall, they were close. They were confidants. Now, it is true, in my opinion, that yeah, I think Diana, to a degree, let Fergie out to hang out to dry when they were all having around 92. They had apparently made a pact that the two of them were going to leave the royal family at the same time. It was like one of those suicide missions, suicide pacts people do, hear them do. Except that Diana was holding back to see what would happen to Sarah. Yeah, she kind of let her take the first hit. And I mean, we know what brought Sarah down. Her romping with her financial advisor in France, and those photographs and the toe sucking, and it's just awful. But that is the least of things that Sarah has done. We know because she was set up and found out trying to sell influence, trying to sell time with Andrew, like $500,000 at a pop. We saw her with wine, cigarettes, and piles of cash on the table, guaranteeing, time with Andrew. She's been a grifter the whole time, and Andrew knows about it. He's just as much of a grifter. That's why these two have remained together. Because first of all, they need each other. And second of all, between the two of them, doesn't matter their own dirt. They've got lots of dirt on Charles, maybe other members of the royal family, Camilla for sure. They've been around this whole time. Can you imagine what Diana might have said to Sarah? There's any one of a number of things, like I've already accounted, any one of a number of things that we already know about that could just destroy Charles if it ever came out. And there could be more. And this is why Charles is afraid to act. He's afraid of what they might say, what might happen. That is not the sentiment of a man that has nothing to hide. That is not the sentiment of an innocent man. Charles has skeletons in his closet. You betcha. And that's why we're at this standoff. That's why Charles has never been able to deal with Andrew properly. And you know what? I mean, I talked about it. I just did a video the other day. Harry, can you imagine if I'm right? And I think I am. Why do you think Charles is holding dear boy so close and trying not to upset things? Why do you think the palace is letting all these puff pieces come out? And they say nothing and they do nothing, and Charles never reprimands Harry. Because Harry's got secrets too. And I mean, I've talked about it. Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? New evidence just the other day. It's not common knowledge to many. And it's kind of been wiped from the memory bank. It's hard to find the book. Not many people know the story. If that ever came out, wow. And this is what Charles is worried about. He knows he doesn't have a long time as king. What he would like to be remembered by as reuniting a shattered royal family. Never gonna happen, Charles. Never gonna happen. You're dealing with a bag of snakes. You let them loose in the room, somebody's gonna get bit. So, here we are. Charles refuses to act. The monarchy's in a spin. It's never been weaker. It's never been more of an embarrassment. And in not too long, William's going to be inheriting this mess. And I tell you, when he does, things are going to be shaken up. That's what I have for you today. Like, subscribe, leave me a comment. I want to know what you're thinking. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.